Hello and welcome back to another episode of CharlaFootball. I'm your host, as always, Jerry, accompanied by Tomas. We just got finished watching the quarterfinals: Germany versus Spain, Portugal versus France. Some insane shocks today. I mean, like we've seen throughout the whole tournament. But make sure you guys follow CharlaFootball on Instagram, TikTok, all that stuff, so you can keep seeing all the content that we're pumping out for these international tournaments. And make sure to follow our personal pages as well. They're all down below in the links. And Tomas, first and foremost, how you doing today, bro? It's kind of hot over here, but we're trying to keep cool.
I'm fresh right now. I'm inside my house.
Dude, I'm fucking burning up over here. I'm in this little office. We have AC, but it doesn't work. It's unfortunate, even though we're an AC company, so it's kind of weird. But
Oh,
anyways, um, it got heated today in games like Germany versus Spain, Portugal versus France. Like I said, a lot of surprises. We'll start off with the biggest surprise, of course, has to be Germany getting knocked out of their own tournament, basically, of the host nation getting knocked out is something you don't want to see, especially because Germany are one of the biggest national teams in the world. And they were probably the favorites to win it all, especially seeing how they were playing. And I mean, the hype that they built around the tournament, the environment that was present with them today at the stadium. But Spain are just, I mean, they're so strong. Overall, they're a solid team from front to back. And they proved that today, even though it was kind of back and forth. I mean, what we saw from Spain is what we've seen since the first match.
yeah. I mean, Spain. What I saw that they kind of lacked was the precision in the first half. They were really just shooting at birds, and they didn't really have any shots on target other than ones going straight to Neuer. So it wasn't surprising because Neuer is a great keeper, so he makes every shot look like so weak.
Hmm.
What did surprise me is how injury prone Pedri is. I mean, he's
To
just
be fair,
so
that was a tough tackle. I know we were discussing that earlier, but that was a tough tackle. I mean,
it's just
you're
I've seen so many similar tackles throughout this Euro. I seen some guy's knee get folded in half and just got up like nothing. I mean, he acted like
I
nothing
mean,
happened to him.
he's still coming in. I think he was recovering from an injury not so long ago, maybe a few months ago.
But
I don't
was
know
it
what
his
kind of
knee
injury
or
it was.
what?
I don't think it was his knee. I'm pretty sure it was something else because I think he was dealing with some sort of muscular injury. I think it was either
It's just
hamstring or quad. But
not even that. I know the Spanish don't specialize in bulking up their players, but even every 50-50 chance, I just know Pedri's getting folded. I just know he's gonna lose the ball. I just if he doesn't get
today,
to the ball first, he's gonna lose it.
the thing is that with that injury came the inclusion of Danny Olmo, who was on the bench today. And I mean, a lot of people have been discussing this, saying that he deserves to be on at least somewhere on the field because I mean he's one of the best players for Spain. To be honest, I mean you see every time he comes on, he puts on a good performance, and that's what he did today. And honestly, he put up a man of the match performance. I'm not saying that it needed to be Pedri to get injured for him to come on, but it was, I guess you could say, a blessing in disguise to see Danny Olmo come on and put in the kind of performance that he did. I mean, he had an assist today, I believe. He had a goal as well. Lamine Yamal assisting him. I mean, also Lamine Yamal is just crazy at 16 years old. I think he turned 17 this tournament if Spain go all the way to the final. I mean, to see what he's doing at 16 is, I mean, insane. We've been saying this all season pretty much. But like I said, Danny Olmo coming on was almost a blessing in disguise, but it was unfortunate for Pedri for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that. It's just I'd like to see a more physical display, which he showed us in his first year of activity, where
Mhm.
he played like I don't even know how many games.
Bro, he played like over 60 games for sure. He got
Yeah,
ran out, and there's no way he would keep up with that. I mean, as the years to come, and we saw that. We saw how exhausted he's been looking. He doesn't look as fresh as he looked that first season at
yeah.
Barcelona when he broke through.
I mean, he has 3 injuries after that season, and he's
Mhm.
been injured every season after that because it was in 2021 and it's 2024. He's got 3 injuries,
That's
but
unfortunate.
yeah, it has to. I know he's probably regretting that wear and tear that he put into his body that quick.
Yeah. A player that also had gone through quite a substantial surgery, a quite important, not surgery. Well, I think he probably did go through surgery. I think he tore his ACL. It was Florian Wirtz, who on the day, which surprised me, he did not start. We saw Emre Can get the start, which obviously didn't work out in that first half. He came off in the second half. Florian Wirtz came on and provided just something different. I mean, he's been one of the best players in the Bundesliga for Bayer Leverkusen, and what he did today is he saved Germany at least in the 90 minutes when they needed it, when to push the game just a little extra bit, because once they got the game to extra time, Germany did look the better team. But Florian Wirtz was so important coming on.
Yeah, I mean, he's been doing it all season for Bayer Leverkusen. I know he saved their streak a couple of times. I think one time he tied it, one time he won the game. And I mean, there's nothing you can ask much from this player. Yes, he's 20 years old, but he's probably one of the better 20-year-olds in the world.
No, yeah, for sure.
And he always shows
between
up.
him and not Musiala. Musiala is like 21, 22. But between him and Bellingham, they're probably the best 20-year-olds for sure out in the world right now.
But then it doesn't surprise me because he's been doing it this whole season with Bayer Leverkusen, against big teams as well, like Bayern Munich, like Dortmund. Mm-hmm. Obviously, they're not in a Champions League yet, but they will be next year.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, just completely a great substitute from Julian Nagelsmann. I mean, when you have those likes on the bench, obviously you got to throw them on, especially when you have the likes of Emre Can, who's wasn't playing that well throughout the first half, like I was saying. But I guess let's get into a controversial decision real quick. The penalty, or what was considered not a penalty, but a lot of people thought it should have been a penalty. That handball from Cucurella off of the shot from Jamal Musiala. There's people saying it was, some people saying it wasn't. I just want to get your opinion on it real quick.
No, it definitely was, because nobody wants to commit a handball. Mm-hmm. There's not one, unless you're like deliberately putting your hand into it, right?
Yeah.
But there's not one person that, how would I say, if you judge a handball based off of intention, 90% of handballs wouldn't be called in the world. Mm-hmm. The thing that for me is why this is a handball is because the ball is going towards the net. On top of that, his arm is extended at first, and he brings it in. Him bringing it in creates contact with the ball, and it creates contact before he even reaches his body. So I think it's completely a penalty. There's just no way that you can see that and say, "Oh, there's no way that's a penalty."
I mean, I'm more of on the other side of the spectrum where I feel like intention does matter. I know it's very hard to measure intention because you're not the player as a referee. You're not the player. You don't know what they're trying to do. But I mean, he's clearly it's the ball. I mean, his hand is in a pretty natural position. It's by his side.
No, you know, it's coming. It's coming.
It's not like he has it out.
He did have it out. It was about
okay, but it's not like a whole foot out where he's stretching it out trying to block it. It's still in a natural position. Like you said,
so why would he stretch it out, try to block it if the ball's lower? Why would he have his hand up here and the ball's down here?
Yeah, but he's like, you can see in the play, he's trying to put his arms behind his back. Like in that movement, that's when the ball hits his hand.
Exactly. It creates contact. It's like saying if you judge intention, how many times does the defender not want to tackle somebody in the box, but they accidentally do? Mm-hmm. It's not their intention, but they do it. Mm-hmm. It's not always intention.
I get what you're trying to say, but I guess the way I see it, especially coming from a little bias, I mean, after I seen the Mexico match where we got 3 penalties not called for us, I'm like, dude, if this one isn't a penalty, then for sure those other ones shouldn't. I mean, those were not penalties, then this one for sure is not a penalty.
The thing is that Copa America refs are just biased towards CONMEBOL, which is normal. I mean, it's always been a thing, nothing new. And I'm not saying this like to defend Mexico. I 100% think that they didn't deserve to advance. And I think that if you're invited to a tournament, you have to play against all odds. And you would only be able to do this if you're prepared. Mexico was not prepared. USA was not prepared, etc. But my thing is this. We've seen so many handballs in the world. And so many handballs like Cucurella's, which were called. Mm-hmm. And we've also seen so many handballs like Cucurella's, which weren't called. Mm-hmm. So the basis of this is the rule. The refs need to be able to find more of a middle ground on when to call it, because some refs call it, some refs don't call it. How in football does something come to the decision of one person? You get me?
Yeah.
When there's a whole federation behind it. I mean, there's a whole referee federation.
What sucks is, like you just said, it's being called in some cases it's not called in other. Like there's no consistency. If there was more consistency, I think it'd be so much easier to be like, okay, well, we've seen this a million times before not get called, so it's obviously not a penalty. Yeah. But seen it in both cases where it does get called, doesn't get called. So I mean, in the refereeing world, there's no consistency whatsoever throughout all the federations. So it's just very hard to consider what is, what's not a penalty. In my eyes, not a penalty. Your eyes, it is, but that's the consistency that we see throughout world football, pretty much. So it's just all pretty much fucked, honestly.
Yeah, I mean it's just terrible. There's so many fouls that in some cases were called penalties, and they win you a final. In other cases, they cost you a final.
Mhm.
I mean, even in the same games, there will be two similar plays, and it gets called for one team and not for the other. So
Mhm.
it's unfortunate.
I think overall, though, Spain were the just winners. Yeah, in extra time, they brought on Nicholas Fulkrug, which was an amazing sub. I think honestly, he's a much better striker than Kai Havertz because he's a natural striker. He hit the post. He had that one header that was just wide of the pole too. Overall, Germany did look good, but you can't say that Spain did not deserve to win. I mean, Mikel Merino, he comes on, an amazing substitute from the Spanish head coach. And I mean, he sent Germany home, and Tony Cruz is now in retirement officially. After Joselu's words the other day, he said that they were going to send Germany home and that they were going to send Tony Cruz into retirement. It basically came to life. That's what happened today. An amazing header, an amazing cross from Dani Olmo too. But I mean, that header, obvious, that was just class for me. The way he sets himself up, the way he jumps and moves his head, it was just it was like a striker's header, even though he's coming from a midfielder.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It was. I mean, he gets up there pretty high too, over
Mhm.
a center back that's like with the experience and height of Rudiger. So it's insane. But then again, I just remember Chiquito Sanchez scored a header over Rudiger as well.
But to be fair, Miguel Marino's 6'2". He's pretty tall himself.
Yeah, I mean, but I feel like if it's 6'3" or 5'3", you're scoring on Rudiger.
Mhm.
It's just,
That's,
I mean, I feel like Rudiger could have at least jumped or done something towards the ball.
yeah, made it uncomfortable at least, but it
Made
looked
it
like a very
uncomfortable,
comfortable
but
header for
it
sure.
looked like he didn't even know where Mikel Merino was. I mean, he
Yeah,
kind
he
of lets
came
the
out of
ball
nowhere.
pass,
Mhm.
kind of lets the ball pass as if it were going outwards, and
Mhm.
unfortunate. But I mean, it cost
And,
him the Euro.
and to be fair, also it was Miguel Marino's first goal for Spain ever. So to do
Yeah,
that in the quarterfinals of the Euros against the host nation, I mean, you got to applaud that. Honestly, you can't deny that that was, I mean, just pure genius from Dani Olmo and from Miguel Marino himself to get himself in that position. Now, quickly, toward like before we end the whole Germany versus Spain bit, going into the yellow cards. I know there's a lot of controversy about the whole yellow cards rule and how it doesn't get wiped away until semifinals. But we saw Morata get a yellow card. Lenormand, the center back pairing with Aymeric Laporte, he got a yellow card as well, and then Carvajal got a red. So all three of them, which are important pieces in this Spain national team, they're going to be missing the semifinal matchup against France now,
France.
and they're all really important players in this scheme, in this tactic for Spain. I mean, moving forward, how do you handle it? First of all, how do you handle it? And then secondly, what do you think of the rule? Because I know I heard the commentators also talking about saying that's so stupid. Like, why would you include that kind of rule? Because you want to see the best players in every facet of the tournament. So I just want to get your input too.
We'll go with the rule first. I think the rule is stupid, not because you miss games, but when you miss the games. I don't think you should
Mm.
be missing a semifinal matchup. I feel like it should probably be like
Like once you get
uh,
into the knockout stages,
once you
those
get into
yellow cards.
quarterfinals at least.
I say
Once
before
you get into
because they have
be-
like you have, group
the,
stage and knockouts are completely almost two different sort of tournaments in itself.
the thing is, what if you get 3 yellow cards in the group stage? Should you not miss the first knockout stage?
Okay. All right. I mean, I can see where you're coming from there. All right.
You know,
Maybe at least round of 16. But from there moving forward, wipe them
like
clean. Like the clean slate from there.
quarterfinals is wiped
Hmm.
because I mean we see these quarterfinals, these instances where in the semifinals you would play. Now it's Portugal. I mean now it's France versus Spain, and Spain's missing 3 key players. Yes, and then I don't think France. Who's France missing? Are you missing anybody important?
I don't know. I have to double check. Let me see who got the yellow cards. We'll keep looking. We'll look into it real
We'll
quick.
look on later, but
No, honestly, only Paulinho, who is
Palinha, that's it.
key. He's key in the midfield, but I mean, they have other players to come in and fill. But who's gonna fill Morata's shoes? I mean, for example, as striker, I mean, you have Ferran Torres, who, I mean, he's average. He's not. I mean, Morata is also. I mean, he's not world class. He's very good, but I wouldn't say he's average either. But he doesn't play that same role that Morata plays. I mean, Morata is the captain of the team, firstly, and I mean, the movement that Morata has is just. I mean, probably the best of the team at striker. Lenormand,
Yeah.
he's done very well for Real Sociedad, and obviously he's done very well. I mean, they've only conceded now 2 goals throughout the whole tournament. So obviously that pairing between him and Laporte is working. Carvajal, no doubt, one of the best right is probably the best right back in the world. I don't think anyone even comes close to him. He's a Champions League winner and now is a semi-finalist as well, but not going to be able to play. So I mean,
Yeah.
who can you really bring? Honestly, there's not much.
For the right back position, you have Jesus Navas, no, from Sevilla.
Yeah, but I mean, you compare. I mean, that's
But
definitely
I mean, you could also try Grimaldo. He's a left back. I don't know how hard it would be to adjust as a right back. But
yeah.
Grimaldo is a world class wing back for now,
Hmm.
and you have Jesus Navas, who's a natural right back. I don't know. It's just it is difficult. It puts you back, but then again, it's the preparation that you have with your bench. I mean, you need a thick roster if you're gonna win a tournament like the Euros or like the Copa America.
Yeah, like Lenormand, I think you can definitely fill up his space. I mean, I'm sure. I mean, you have Pau Torres. I'm sure he's on the bench too. He can definitely fill in right there. I think. I mean, as far as it goes for natural left-footed center backs for Spain, I don't quite know who they have on the bench. Let me double check real quick.
I
They
mean,
have
you also have
Natural, but he's not left-footed. They have Grimaldo. He's a left back, though. I mean, that's pretty much it when it comes to center backs. So they don't really have much, which is
yeah. I mean,
pretty.
also I mean for Lenormand, Daniel Vivian is there as well. He plays for Athletic Club. Decent center back. I like him. I mean,
I don't know.
you
I
just
just think
gotta,
it's going to be very difficult, especially once you get to the semifinals and you're playing a team like France. You want your best players, and as a neutral, you want to see the best players perform against each other. So, I mean, to see these guys missing out is just sucks.
yeah. I mean, France. But again, France doesn't scare me.
Let's
I
talk
mean, they
about France now because I mean, yeah, you're right. They don't scare anybody. I think Spain have the upper hand given that defensively, I think they're more solid than France are, and offensively, like miles ahead of
yeah,
of, of France for sure. But let's talk about the Portugal and France game because obviously Spain is going to be facing France because France on the day they converted all their penalties, world class penalty takers on the day. I mean, those kicks were just perfect. They were so they showed us how to take a penalty, honestly. But it was a rematch of the 2016 final, and I mean, overall in the 90 minutes going into extra time, there really wasn't much. I mean, a few solid chances from both like on both ends. You could have argued that they could have finished the game in the 90 minutes, both for France. Camavinga had that one shot that nearly scraped the bar. Vitinha had that shot right at Mike Magnan. He was like right in front of goal. He could have put it. He could have
yeah.
had a better finish, no doubt. But I mean, besides those
Ronaldo's
two,
guide one.
which one?
Ronaldo's guide one.
Or Ronaldo skying one. That was kind of like a rush shot. It was kind of almost behind him, but
Yeah,
uh,
he could have just
well, it's
he could have
Bruno
done something
Fernandez.
better.
I think Bruno Fernandez had a good shot coming in from the right side. Mignon with a
No,
great stop.
Portugal had a lot of opportunities to score.
Hmm.
I actually would have preferred if Portugal advance because I feel like they propose more going forward. France is boring.
Yeah.
I
Over
think they're a
like
lame team.
once
Every time they
Dembele
get the ball, I just go to sleep. Nothing
no,
happens.
dude. Once Dembele came on, at least he made stuff happen. Unfortunately, Mbappe, he was pretty much quiet throughout the match. He had that one shot where, I mean, you could have maybe stood up a little bit, but it was right at the keeper, so there was really nothing going on there. But Mbappe, I mean, Dembele, he did try to put something forward. He tried, taking on players, and he did. He took on two, three, four players, but it's the same shit with him. I mean, you can take on two, three players, and his finishing or that his last decision is just shit. Like I
Yeah,
mean, his mind once he gets to that point, I think he just blanks out. He just doesn't know what to do, and he just does whatever he thinks is right, and it always ends up being wrong.
Yeah, I mean he's terrible at finishing. We've known this. We've known since he cost Barcelona that final spot in the Champions League versus Liverpool. I mean he's just a terrible finisher.
Yeah,
He's
on the
very
day
talented though.
he showed his talent. There's no doubt. I mean, everyone was hyping him up once he came on because he was taking players on, like I said. But it's just the
Uh-huh.
finishing that he just
Like
fucking.
every time Dembele shoots to go,
You know,
I
it's
just
not gonna go
I
in.
know
I
I
mean,
know
he
it's
had the
not.
one shot that hit the crossbar, like the angle, the upper 90. But I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean,
You know how
you have
Dembele would have scored today
how,
if you would have put Portugal and Barcelona jerseys.
bro. Shut up. You say the same shit. I mean, it's true. Maybe he would have scored if 2 or 3 if it was Barca instead of fucking Portugal jerseys. But at the end of the day, I mean, honestly, I don't think Dembele wouldn't have done anything. Whoever was in
He
front of
does
him.
Dembele doesn't scare me. Mbappe doesn't scare me in his current form.
No,
I
the only
mean,
people that truly frighten me is probably the likes of N'Golo Kante because he's everywhere on the pitch. You probably think you're so comfortable on the ball, then out of nowhere you just see a little man running right behind you, just takes the ball, snatches it right from you. N'Golo Kante because he's the only one that actually is, like I said, he's all over the pitch. One of the best players for France, no doubt. But
yeah,
also, you have to shout out the goalkeeper Mike Magnan, who I think
save.
definitely saved France 3 times at least. Diogo Costa overall was very important for Portugal, and in the game he had a few saves. Obviously, in the last match, he was the first goalkeeper to make 3 penalty saves ever in a Euros tournament. So both of them came up big for their national team when it mattered the most. Mike Magnan, obviously, into the next round, so he gets more of the
Yeah,
praise today.
we
But
also
I
need
mean,
to talk about.
the importance of goalkeepers this tournament. Honestly, all the goalkeepers. I mean, there hasn't really been a lot of slip ups from goalkeepers. They've all been very, very
Um,
well.
the Turkey goalie, the first.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Actually, that I forgot about that one.
No, but yeah,
That was more on the
but yeah,
defender. Goalkeeper. Okay,
yeah. I mean, just yeah. But I mean, they've been great. The goalkeepers have been great for the most part. Um, a lot of good saves from both sides. Well, a lot more from Mike Magnan than Diego Costa, but that's just because Portugal actually shoots towards the goal.
yeah.
Um, I mean, there's not much you could say. I mean, the goalies are doing their job. You know, goalies play as well. That's what a lot of people forget, that not every shot's gonna go in because
Hmm.
these goalies are quality. It's
Yeah.
not like in Copa Oro where any mid range shot that bounces is going towards the goal. But
Yeah, these are world class keeper. Mike Mignon obviously doing a big at AC Milan. Although he's has come through a lot of scrutiny, a lot of people have been saying that he's fallen off or not exactly in his best moment. I mean, we see he puts on that French shirt and he's a different man. He's like a superhero, and he was France's superhero today, honestly. But
yeah,
it's funny because France are still yet to score by open play. So while Mike Magnan is coming up big, he's probably pissed off because his forwards aren't doing anything. They can't even at least help him out by getting a goal. At least to give him a little bit of comfort in the back because
yeah. I mean,
Mbappe's not doing anything. Kolomoani, I mean, he has the same shot over and over again, and I feel like he hasn't practiced it, or he thinks, or he just gets scared, or I think he's
he's good at shooting. Just don't give him a volley.
don't give him a volley that's bouncing right in front of goal with the goalkeeper coming out because he thinks he sees Dibu Martinez all over again, bro. That's
You
exactly
told
what
me,
happened today because it was the same shit. It was the same. It was a very similar spot where the ball's bouncing, the goalkeeper's rushing out. This time it's not a Diogo Costa that comes up with the save. It's Ruben Diaz who puts a foot to it and it just kind of goes wide of the goal. But I mean, if you're getting paid millions of dollars, he's one of the best paid players for PSG, and obviously he's called up to the national team for a reason. You have to be putting those away, especially as a striker.
I mean, he's just really so nerves. Well, I mean, in this case, he did everything right. You know, he crossed it across his body, going bottom left.
It
It's
was
just unlucky
incredible
that
from Ruben Diaz, honestly.
it's just
Incredible.
incredible save from Ruben Diaz. But still, it's just like I've seen like Colomani volley like 4 or 5 times from that position. And it's always either the goalie saves it, hits the post, somebody else saves it, or it's just so unlucky for him. And it's not even that he's a bad player. He's just not able to get over that little hill of hitting a
Yeah,
volley from outside
I
the
think
box.
once he scores that first goal, that's very similar to it. I think maybe the floodgates will start coming in, but unfortunately, just didn't happen for him today. Now, lastly, another player that I wanted to not for France, but for Portugal specifically, a player that just really stood out to me has been honestly Portugal's best player all tournament, besides Vitinha, is Pepe. At 41 years old,
Ooh,
debuted for Portugal at 24 years old when he was at Real Madrid. And I mean, 24 years old, and now he's 41 years old. The kind of performances that he's putting up. I mean, you saw what he did today, taking on Duram. I think Duram was like through on goal. He was on the right wing, just blasting, blasting through. He kicked it like 20 yards forward, thinking that he could outpace Pepe. But Pepe, I mean, dude, his legs have there's no age on those. He runs like he's 24 still, which is
oh yeah, I
crazy.
mean,
It's crazy.
Thuram hits the ball forward. He takes Pepe. Pepe catches up to him. He pokes the ball around Pepe again. Pepe catches up back to him again.
Kicks it out
He's
for the corner.
there. He doesn't care. He's gonna be there eventually. And you're not scoring. I
And
mean,
it's sad to see. It's sad to see him go out in the way they did. I mean, he was crying at the end of the match, and I'm sure he just wants to live another Euro with Portugal. I mean, that's the highest achievement that Portugal has ever reached in their history. So I'm sure they wanted to do that again. Especially now that they're in the latter stages of the tournament, since it's most likely the last Euro they will ever participate in. Maybe even the last tournament they will ever participate in. I know maybe Ronaldo will probably make it to the World Cup in 2 years' time, but Pepe by then he's going to be 43, pushing 44. So it's going to be almost unrealistic for him to be starting. Maybe have some sort of substitute role, but to be starting is going to be very difficult unless he keeps taking care of himself. But
the thing with Pepe is if he maintained himself to how he played today in 2 years, which is I know it might be difficult at 40, but I feel like Pepe's one of the center backs that are able to get it done.
yeah, I mean he's
And I
still
wouldn't
captain
doubt it.
for Porto. I mean he's captain for Porto, playing Champions League ball all the time, and I mean still coming up clutch. I mean the performances that he put in today, like I said, he looks like he's still in his prime. He doesn't look like he's declining anytime soon. So there's very well a chance that he can make it into another 2 years. But I mean, regarding to the next Euros, it's going to be a lot more difficult for sure.
No, I don't think he's making it to next year. Maybe the next World Cup, but that's about it.
Yeah,
Or
for so
maybe 46 in the next Euro.
yeah, no, there's no
No,
way.
yeah, 45, 46.
But I definitely want to shout him out because to me, it's sad to see him go out the way he did, obviously crying, but he is no doubt. I mean, he embodies what Portugal is. And it's weird because you would think it would be Ronaldo, but on the day, he did nothing. The last game, he put on this whole show. Yes, he was crying, and the mentality was great overall, but I mean, he took like 5, 6 free kicks when it could have been somebody else to take it. And today, somebody else took it. Bruno Fernandes did take his free kick, but even he couldn't put it. So I don't know. Overall, like I said, Pepe to me, he embodies what Portugal is, and I mean, it's just sad to see him go out the way he did. But now we got an amazing matchup between France, and I just want to know your thoughts. I want to get your predictions, see who you think is going to make it to the glorious Euro final. It's a very interesting matchup, but I mean, I think I know who you're gonna say. I know who I'm gonna say, but I'm gonna let you go first.
I'm gonna go with Spain. I said
Okay,
like the winner of this quarterfinal, Germany versus Spain, was probably gonna be the winner of the
the Euro.
Euros, and I'm gonna stick with that. I mean, Spain is if they're able to beat Germany in Germany's own house in the most important tournament in Europe, then I feel like they're able to beat anybody.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna go with them, even though they have 3 players out. I don't see that as much of a big difference because the way they play is the way most Spanish clubs play.
Mhm. I'm gonna completely agree with you. France haven't offered anything to say otherwise, besides their defensive solidarity with Jules Koundé at right back and Theo Hernandez at left back, William Saliba. But I mean, I don't see how they can stop the likes of Nico Williams unless they're double teaming him. But Nico Williams is I mean, he's just so strong on that left side. Lamine Yamal, he's so slick on the right side. And I mean, whoever you put in the striker position, I mean, most likely is going to be Ferran. I mean, I think he's going to put in a shift. I don't think he'll do it as well as Morata, but you're going to really have to be worried about those wingers because they're so direct and they're so hard to defend. And I don't know. And going forward, France don't have anything to offer really. They have the best players in the world, but they're not doing anything in this tournament. So I guess it doesn't really matter going forward. The only thing that's going to
Yeah.
help France tournament is their defense. If they can keep Spain shut out for 120 minutes, which will be very difficult, then maybe France have a chance. But I'm gonna go Spain because I mean they knocked out the host, bro. If you're knocking out the host in their own, I mean, their own stadium, their own home, in front of their people, and probably they were the favorites to win the tournament. I mean, you can beat anybody, especially
Yeah.
France, who have not been impressive whatsoever.
I
So
mean,
yeah, bro.
France is terrible going forward, and if they want to beat Spain, they have to score because Spain is going to score on them.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up everything for our Euro segment. Make sure you guys check out all the previous ones as well. Check out our future ones coming. We still got more quarterfinals matchups tomorrow. I think Austria, Netherlands, and then it's
England,
Netherlands, Turkey, and then England, Switzerland. My bad.
Chile.
And then we got the Copa America today with Venezuela and Canada, and obviously more games moving forward. So make sure you guys tune in for that on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, Spotify, all that good stuff. CharlaFootball, CHARLA football, and follow us on our personal pages. Thank you so much for always helping us out. And yeah, we'll see you guys on the next one.
So.